Do you feel like you must write down word for word everything you see or hear in lectures? Or have you wondered if your notes capture all the important concepts your instructor is explaining? If so, welcome to this presentation where we will review some strategies that may help you make more effective notes. First, let's discuss why note-taking is important. Essentially, note-taking helps us learn and review information. If we make notes in our own words, we are more likely to remember this information and recall it later. In addition, by condensing and synthesizing information in our notes, we're more likely to think of relevant questions to ask the instructor to gain a deeper understanding of the material. We can also use our personal notes to help paraphrase information for assignments and essays. Although there are many note-taking techniques, many students make notes that are organized by headings and include text that flows from the top of the page downwards and across the width of the page from left to right. These notes are beneficial when your goal is to record factual information. However, other note-taking techniques that will be described later in this video are structured in a way that illustrate relationships or connections between concepts and can be used as a study guide for tests and exams. Beyond helping you learn and review course material, note-taking can help you gain skills that will be valuable in the workplace. For example, making notes requires you to listen and process information almost at the same time. As a result, the more you practice making notes, the more opportunities you will have to strengthen your active listening and critical thinking skills. Let's now discuss some of the practicalities of making notes. You can make notes for numerous types of learning activities such as lectures, readings, videos, lab work, seminar discussions, presentation, research, etc. It is beneficial to record content like key concepts and theories, models, systems, and frameworks, terminology and formulas, and important people, places, times, and acts. You might also add some analysis to your notes where you identify connections between ideas. Or you could reflect about how the new information supports or challenges your existing understanding of an idea or theory. When you are making notes, you don't need to write down word for word what your instructor is saying. Try to identify the key idea they are sharing and write this in your notes using your own words. It might also be beneficial to highlight or color code some of your notes. However, this needs to be an intentional process, so you are not highlighting everything. You may need to reread sections of your notes to clearly identify important words, phrases, or diagrams to emphasize by highlighting. Also, consider using standard abbreviations or making up your own to save a bit of time when you are writing down notes. Lastly, it is beneficial to leave lots of space on a page to make your notes easier to read and to provide an opportunity for you to combine reading and lecture notes into one document after a lecture. There is a wide variety of note-taking techniques, and the one you choose to use may depend on your preferences, the course material, or the method the instructor uses to share information. Consider a few options so you can adapt your note-taking to best fit the situation. One effective way of making notes is using the Cornell note-taking system. This system divides a page into 3 sections. A large column will be on the right side of the page, a smaller column on the left side of the page, and a short row at the bottom of the page. The column on the right is used for notes that you record during lecture. The column on the left is the cue column, and you can record questions here based on the main ideas in the lecture notes. You can test your understanding by covering the lecture notes and answering the questions in the cue column. Lastly, the bottom section is used for a summary of notes on that page. This is an important section because if you can condense the information you learned in lecture into 3 to 5 sentences, you likely understood the essential ideas that were discussed. Another note-taking technique, called sketch notes, uses text, doodles, shapes, and lines to analyze and represent the main ideas you are learning about. You don't need to be an artist to use this technique. You just need to provide an image that will help you connect to the material in a way that will support your learning and the recall of this information. Although you can make sketch notes during a lecture, you could also use sketch notes after a lecture to summarize the information you learned. Since notes that combine text with visuals are more effective than text alone, consider using the Cornell note-taking structure and adding some sketch notes to emphasize significant ideas. Regardless of the note-taking technique you use, there are some good practices to consider to make note-taking more effective. Before your lecture, briefly review your notes from the previous class to help you connect information you already know to information you will learn in this week's lecture. In addition, check out the topic that will be discussed in your syllabus, read any relevant readings, and preview any material posted by your instructor. Previewing helps you identify the main ideas that will be discussed in lecture, which in turn can help you figure out what to focus your notes on during lecture. When you are in lecture, try to concentrate on the material you are learning by turning off email or social media notifications. In addition, it is a great idea to avoid working on other assignments or any other tasks that are not directly related to the lecture. This helps you be present in the moment and frees up some of your working memory so you can make notes more easily in your own words. It is also helpful if you organize your notes so you can find them quickly. For example, you could make notes for each course you are taking in a separate notebook or save them in a specific folder on your computer. After lecture, take 10 to 15 minutes to write a quick summary of what you learned in class. Then, if possible, review your notes within 24 hours of making them to help re-engage with the material. During this revision period, you could combine your reading and lecture notes to fill in any information that you may have missed or not fully understood. You could also organize your notes in a new way that summarizes information or highlights connections between concepts. For example, you could use a chart with columns and rows to summarize your notes. The far left column could identify a concept or theme that you learned in class. The second column could provide an explanation of the concept. The third column could define any key terms related to the concept. The fourth column could describe specific or practical examples, and the fifth column could link this concept to related ideas. Once your chart is completed, you can use it as a review tool. Another way you could review your notes is using Dr. Smith-Chant's SPEW method to check your knowledge. First, you could compile a list of key terms from your notes. Then you would take 1 to 2 minutes to write down everything you can for each of the terms. After, check what is correct. If you knew a term, that's great. If you struggle to explain a term, you can review your notes again to help you understand it better. To summarize, effective note-taking requires some preparation before lecture, the ability to focus during lecture, and a short amount of time to review your notes after lecture. Sometimes it is challenging to determine what information you should put in your notes. However, there are a few ways you can figure out what is important. First, your instructor may use keywords that signal they are about to discuss an important concept or idea. These are words like crucial, significant, etc. Your instructor may also introduce a major theme or concept by describing it in a list or process. They may say something like, "Now I will describe the 3 components of this theory." Also, if your instructor keeps repeating an idea or is taking a large amount of time to define a term, it is likely important. Sometimes an instructor will emphasize an important concept by their verbal cues or body language. For example, they may highlight key points with a louder voice, a deeper tone, or particular gestures. Lastly, an instructor may conclude a lecture by summarizing the main points they covered. It is beneficial to write these points down as they are likely critical concepts for you to learn. Overall, note-taking may be challenging, but when it is done effectively, it is an excellent way for you to learn and review information. We are happy to discuss note-taking in more detail, so please reach out to Academic Skills if you have any specific questions.